Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm glad to see you all here. For today's project, we are looking at an entire series on how to write Docker files. Okay, so as our first part in the project, we will look at how to write a simple Docker file for a Golang app. Okay, now before I start talking about what the app or the application does, first things first, you need to have our server, and in our instance I'm using an Ubuntu server, okay, which has security group with port 22 allowed, so that we can connect um, to the server. Okay, now that aside, we also need to be sure that Docker is installed on the server. Now over here you can log in into the server. The server key is Ubuntu 24 key, and this is the public IP address. So SSH-I, the key, and then username and the IP address, and press enter. That easily logs me into the server. Right. So let me clear this. Okay. Now that we are able to SSH into the server, let's check to be sure that Docker is installed, since this project is about writing a Docker file. So we will try to build a Docker image and then we try to run it. Right. So I'll use the command systemctl, make this page a little bigger. All right. Use the command systemctl status docker. Okay, so you can clearly see that Docker is active and running. Shows that it's already installed on there. Now if you want to know how to install the Docker engine on the Ubuntu server, I already have a video on this channel, so feel free to look that up. All right, okay, let's get out of this. Let's clear the screen. In my home directory, I have a directory called master Dockerfiles and then build me. So the series, I'm calling it master Dockerfiles. Okay, so let's cd into that. And for the first part of the series is introduction to Dockerfiles, right? So I'll just cd into my project like this. Okay, now you can clearly see that there's some stuff in here. Now this information that you can see in the 01 intro Dockerfile is a Golang application. Okay, so there is a readme, there's a cmd directory. You can see D right here. And then there's two files, go.mod and go.sum. Okay, now this together is the Golang application. Now what the application does is, this is a client server application that translates messages to a fictional language. Okay, so it's just an example application that we're using for this project in particular. Okay, now you don't need to be so worried about having to understand the code in there, since the main focus here is to write the Docker files, and so shouldn't worry about that too much for now. Okay, so about the content here, you can see the cmd is a directory. All right, so let's list the content of the cmd. So it has client and it has a server. Okay, so the cmd directory contains the code for the two application components, okay, which is the client and the server. Okay, the client is a user interface for writing, sending, and receiving messages, and the server receives the message from clients and then translates them and sends them back to the client. Okay, so that's just a slight overview of what's going on with these two. Okay. Now, with that in mind, let's see how we can write a Docker file to build this application into a Docker image. Okay. So, well, clearly in the content, there's nothing like a Docker file in here. So I'll do vi Docker file, and I'm gonna edit this Docker file. Now, because this code is written in Go language, you need to specify the version of Dockerfile syntax to use. Okay, so I'm gonna write hash syntax equals docker slash Dockerfile 1. This ensures that you have access to the latest Docker build features. Okay, so that will be our Dockerfile parser directive. Okay, and then next we need a base image to build our Docker image, and for that we use a command from. Okay, and of course the base image you're going to use it. You are building a Golang application, so you will use a Golang base image. So I'm gonna go to Docker Hub, get in here and look for Golang. Here it is, Golang. Now there's so many tags, so many Golang images here. Okay. All right. Now the one that I'm gonna use is the 1.21 Alpine. Okay, so this is the Golang image that I'm gonna use, 1.21 Alpine. Okay, so I will do from Golang colon 1.21 Alpine. Okay, and then we need to set a directory for our working directory for the application, and for that we set it as work dir, and we just call it src, our source code. Okay, now next thing is to copy the files in the build context to the working directory in the container. Okay, so you have to use the copy command, and we are copying everything into our container. Okay, next, because we are building a Golang application, you need to download the necessary modules for building a Golang application, and for that a lot of the time those kind of commands are bash or shell commands. Okay, and for Docker files you use run, which is run, to run Docker shell commands. So do run go mod download. Okay, so this will download all the Go modules that is needed to build this artifact. Okay, or build this Docker image, including all the dependencies. So in JavaScript you will use npm install. In Python you will use pip install. In Golang you use go mod download. Okay, all right, now we need to build the binaries for both the client and the server. Right, again it's still going to be two run commands. Okay, one for the server, one for the client. So go build -o bin client, and then the current location of our code for the client is this location. Do the same thing, go build -o store it in bin server cmd, and it's located at cmd server. This command here builds a client binary, which is used to send messages to be translated into this bin directory on the container or in the Docker image. Okay, same as the server. What it does is build a server binary, which is located here. All right, and this listens for client translation requests. All right, into this bin/server directory. All right. Next, we need to specify a command that runs when the container starts. Okay, and for that we use the entry point command. So whenever a container starts, we want it to run the server application. So this will start the server process whenever the container starts running. Okay. At this point, we can save this and exit this. So when I list the contents of this directory, see that we have a Docker file here. Okay. So once we have our Docker file, we can invoke the Docker build to build our application or artifact into a full Docker image. Okay, so I'll write Docker build, and I'll give it a tag called how do I call it? Build me. Now this dot here is basically to take every content in this directory and build it into a Docker image and tag it as build me. Okay, and then Docker build is a command for building a Docker image. Press enter, and that should start building your Docker image. Docker image is successfully built. So to see it, I'm gonna do Docker images, and this is our Docker built image right here. All right, remember we tagged it as build me. All right, so you see build me is the latest. This is the image ID 27 seconds ago, and this is the size 385. All right, now that our Docker build is successful, let me clear the screen, and then we will try to run the container. Okay, now so in Docker and in the world of containers, the artifact is called the Docker image or the image. Okay, now once you start running the artifact, what the process that's going on is the container. Okay, so that's the difference between the two. All right, let's run the Docker image now using the command docker run, and remember our tag is build me. Okay, and now run this in detached mode. I want it to run in the background, so in --detach, and then the name of the Docker image that we built is build me. Press enter, and you see that we have a random hash shown here, which means the Docker run has started, and this is the unique ID that's given to the container. Okay, so if you do Docker ps, this will show us the Docker processes that are running. Okay, so we see a build me image with this container ID. Okay, and the command that is executed once you start running it, remember the entry point is bin server, and this is the tag. Okay, so our Docker image is successfully running. Okay, now what if you want to get into the Docker container and run some shell scripts? Okay, similar to logging into a virtual machine and running shell scripts in there. How do you do that? For that, you do docker exec. Okay, now we want to run it via terminal. So in the interactive terminal, you use the flag IT, and then name the tag is build me, and then let's say bin client. So you see that this is a whole new terminal that you can use to translate messages, just like how the application works. Okay, all right, so this is the terminal of the client server. Now get out of this, just did it to show you. Okay, our Docker process is still running, so let's stop it. To do that, you do docker stop, and our artifact is called build me, or container is called build me. Press enter, and now if you do docker ps, see that there's no process running. This was running earlier, but we've terminated it, we've stopped it. Okay, so that is an easy way of writing a Docker file for a simple Golang application. Okay, now slight overview, you can go back to look at the Docker file. This is the content of it. Okay, now because this is a series, in the subsequent videos we are going to look at how to make this Docker file even better. We are going to try to optimize it, so that will follow in the upcoming videos. So in the second video is how to use layer cache to improve the build speed of the Docker image. Okay, so that will be the next video. Thank you for joining me once again today, and if you have any questions, please put it in the comments, and please like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and also share the videos